It's beautiful. We get to be out here every morning with the sunrise. It's just a fantastic place to be. We love to work together. We love to be outside all day long.
Oh, it's everything. I mean, I love golf. There's something about being around here.
There's kind of something in the air when you smell the fresh cut grass, when it's slightly wet in the morning. All you want to do is get on the first tee, and that's when the excitement really builds up.
Golf in Greater Zion is one of the most unique places in the world. Almost every hole is framed by some sort of canyon or red rocks or water or mountains in the distance.
Here in Greater Zion, it truly is a golfer's paradise. 14 courses nestled within a 20-mile radius, set in a gorgeous desert backdrop, 365 days a year.
Golfers come from all over the country and all over the world. The absolute stunning views that you get through the golf here in St. George are unmatched.
If you love golf, this is the place.
But it certainly was not always a place for golf. In fact, at one time, it was not even considered a place where people could survive. In October of 1861, 309 families began their journey from Salt Lake City to what would become St. George in Washington County, Utah. They were ordered by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints President Brigham Young to build a community and tame this arid land, primarily for growing cotton.
I'm a fifth-generation resident. I've traced back to the early pioneers that came here to settle on both my mother and my father's side. I try to imagine the incredible strength that it took to do what they did, picking up and leaving everything, just basically what they could carry, and moving hundreds of miles with no clue what was ahead of them. And they survived tremendous sacrifices and hardships.
The pioneers endured long, bumpy desert drives with little feed for their mules, except what scarce vegetation was growing along the way.
They would be up at the crack of dawn and they would walk 15 to 20 miles a day. This part of the world was extremely rugged. You will find no place with a more diverse convergence of so many different geological formations. From basin and range to plateau, upper Mojave Desert. With all the lava rock we have here, getting from Iron County into Washington County was a proverbial nightmare that just beat the heck out of the wagons. It was extremely rough and very noisy. It just would pound you to pieces.
When they got to the Black Ridge, it drops off about 150 to maybe 200 feet, a very steep incline. You look at that and you say, how on earth are you going to get wagons down that? Well, they had to hook up ropes and other things and lower them down.
Their journey took more than 2 months. They battled wind, rain, dust, and sickness, and many did not survive.
If you died along the trail, then they dug a grave and buried you and left a cross for you.
George A. Smith had described this place as the most wretched, barren, God-forsaken place. Why would anybody want to live here?
Land was in abundance, but water was a scarcity. This was a region of less than 10 inches of rain for an entire year.
I guarantee you I'm not as tough as my ancestors. They were a special breed of tough to be able to come and forage and stick it out and not leave. The inhospitable country that they come to is just almost immeasurable. To show up at this time of year, I mean, look around, this is what they had. To try to survive the winter and hopefully get something planted in the spring. Had a dogged determination that just wouldn't quit. It was just unbelievable.
The early settlers bent the land to their will by plowing and irrigating and building canals and dams. They scraped together a living, including growing fruit and sugar beets and producing molasses and even wine.
They depended on each other to the point that they became family. And thus they called it the Dixie Spirit.
Through their pioneering spirit, they made Brigham Young's vision a reality by creating a self-sufficient community here in southern Utah. Early entrepreneurs began to realize the traveling public was driving right through St. George on their way to California or Salt Lake City and beyond. They needed something to capture their attention and get them to stay a couple days. A 1931 article in the Washington County News spelled it out.
And I love this. It says, a golf course is the first step toward making St. George a winter resort. People from the north who generally spend their winters in California say that our greatest asset and opportunity lies in this direction. The climate in the area is unexcelled for golf, and that there are several places that would make a good course. If the town had a golf course, tourists would stay longer in St. George. So that was the beginnings probably of the thought of a golf course.
It certainly piqued the interest of the governor, the mayor, and local businessmen.
They were all hot on the idea, but in the 1930s, nothing happened.
Innovations in the 40s and 50s, like air-conditioned motel rooms, provided much-needed relief from southern Utah's heat. Some savvy hotel owners added a personal touch.
They would go and they would take ice to the guests, they would clean rooms, helping tourism grow in a healthy way.
My parents, when I was 8 years old, bought into a motel. Both of my parents became very active in promoting tourism. My dad was the president of the Motel Association for years, and the ultimate goal was to create a destination of St. George instead of a stop-through. It was during the early 60s when that slogan came out about where the summer sun spends the winter, and they used that to promote St. George.
Without something to keep tourists there, like golf courses, they weren't really accomplishing that goal.
There was momentum taking hold in the community to finally build a course. Chamber of Commerce President Sid Atkin convinced the city to provide the land and finance construction through a $60,000 bond. The city of St. George opened its first golf course on July 4th, 1965. They named it Dixie Red Hills. It had just 7 holes, but a few months later it became a 9-hole course.
When Dixie Red Hills opened up, my dad was the assistant golf professional under Gene Schneider, whose dad was Ernie Schneider that designed the golf course. I was about 5 years old when he started there and grew up on a golf course. It's a traditional course where it's built without homes around it. There's natural green fairways surrounded by red rock. It's a nice little contrast there between the two. It's got trees and it's peaceful there. You can see all types of nature while you play.
But on occasion, there were some unwelcome guests.
Well, we ran cattle.
We're probably talking close to 100 head. And they worked their way down to the golf course. They'd come down through this little canyon right through here, and they would come out and just come right in through the green here and just work their way in here and just sit and graze for a while.
Typically every Sunday morning I'd get a call from the golf pro, and he'd go and say, "Gardner, you've got some cattle on hole number 3. And so we'd have to saddle up and go get the cattle off the golf course.
The location of the first golf course has historic significance. It was home to the West Spring, a very clean and reliable water source for the early settlers that continues to provide water today.
I think the major aspect that makes that place important is that it was the quarry for the Tabernacle, the St. George Temple, the Woodward School, the old Opera House.
This right here is the quarry, right along the edges here, and just works its way up into the canyon. You can kind of see the remnants of the piles of the rocks as they piled them up and then hauled out what they needed.
Dixie Red Hills, you're kind of in your own little canyon. It looks completely different from anything else.
I love Dixie Red Hills because it really introduced people to what nature is. Just beautiful scenery, the weather, and just really nice people.
One of those people was just a kid when he first stepped onto this historic course. His name was Jadon Blake.
I started playing golf when I was 8.5 years old.
He used to work picking up range balls, parking carts as a little kid, and he'd spend his day playing golf and practicing golf.
But if he couldn't get on the course, he had to be creative.
I grew up about 1.5 blocks from the St. George Temple, and I used to go on that Worthing Park. I used to go over there with my sand wedge and about 6, 8 balls and use the trees on the park as holes. I'd go out there and hit to that tree, then I'd go to this tree and play 18 holes of golf by going to tree to tree to tree. I actually did love it right away.
That love turned into a lot of success on the Summer Junior Tour and on to college.
Our family was not wealthy enough to pay for schooling, and Utah State offered me a full-ride scholarship. I won the NCAA championship. I was Collegiate Player of the Year, and then that gave me some confidence to go get my PGA Tour card.
That was every kid's dream. The only one that made it from here was Jadon Blake. And it all happened with a short little 9-hole Dixie Red Hills.
The success of Dixie Red Hills spurred development of several more golf courses. In 1969, Bloomington Country Club was designed with gently sloping fairways near the bend of the Virgin River south of town. It was the city's first private club. 2 courses were added in the next decade, Southgate Golf Club and St. George Golf Club. Southgate weaved along the Santa Clara River and was known for its ample water features. The St. George course was very walkable with favorable greens.
Affectionately known as the Ditch because of the location. It sits down in Bloomington Hills along the river. Very playable, traditional layout.
And within several years, both courses were owned and operated by the city of St. George. Washington City, just east of St. George, entered the scene in 1989 by building Green Spring Golf Course. It was created by award-winning designer Gene Bates and utilized stunning views of the Pine Valley Mountains. Then St. George added its 4th municipal course, Sunbrook, the region's only course with 27 championship holes.
The city always called it their crown jewel of golf courses because of the uniqueness of the golf course, the beauty of the golf course, the terrain, just unbelievable.
And that was really the first tier of development that brought the people, they could stay for 3 or 4 days and have a good experience playing golf here.
Golf really lit the flame on tourism.
You know, I think that got you to a certain level, and then you went to the next level.
Several high-end courses quickly came online starting in 1994, when the city of Hurricane opened Sky Mountain with panoramic views of Zion National Park and the Pine Valley Mountains that rise to over 10,000 feet above the city. Entrada at Snow Canyon, rated Utah's top year-round private golf course, was created by pro golfer and award-winning designer Johnny Miller. Then Coral Canyon Golf Course in Washington City, Sun River Golf Club to the south of St. George, and the Ledges to the north, which boasted expansive views of Snow Canyon State Park and challenging greens. And while golf was exploding in Greater Zion, St. George's J. Don Blake was rising through the ranks of the PGA.
My first event, just to play a PGA Tour event and then have it be in Hawaii. It was like, wow, this is unbelievable. All of a sudden you're seeing your idols that you've watched and admired, and now you're standing next to them. I ended up playing the 4 days, made the cut, which is a big accomplishment. Ended up finishing 23rd. I mean, back then, 23rd made $18,000 or something like that. It was my 4th year. I finally won my first golf event down in San Diego at Torrey Pines. I played all the way up until I turned 50, so I played 21 years on the PGA Tour.
There are so many emotions in golf, whether it's driving, putting, chipping, being where others have stood and played the game, or sitting in a restaurant and talking to somebody that loves golf. There are just so many life's experiences that are wrapped up into that opportunity of golfing with friends.
Hurricane, which is halfway between St. George and Zion National Park, added 2 more premier golf courses, starting in 2008 with Sand Hollow. It had excellent elevations, steep ridgelines, deep canyons, and the stunning backdrop of Zion.
I remember the first time I ever played it, and you just kind of look out at it and it almost looks like you're looking at a picture scene just because it's so gorgeous. There's not really views like that anywhere else.
This is why you hear about this course all over the world, and you're really just seeing the beauty of the red rocks and these little tiny spots of green that you're supposed to be hitting towards, and it's just really breathtaking.
In 2020, it was Copper Rock with its challenging layout, natural sand dunes, and extraordinary views of the cliffs of Hurricane.
You have literally 360-degree views, and it's serene, it's beautiful, and it has recently been graded by the UGA as the most challenging course in southern Utah.
The course has been honored to host many national tournaments, including multiple years of the Epson Tour Copper Rock Championship, and in 2024, the LPGA Senior Championship.
This is one of our majors. The players have loved being here at Copper Rock. First of all, it's a beautiful place. Second, the staff and the volunteers, they couldn't be any more welcoming than they have been. It's just been a wonderful experience.
I really love Copper Rock. I thought it was a great venue. I thought the views were amazing. The greens were very unique. I enjoyed the golf course. I thought it was fun to play.
Help me welcome.
The reason for the Epson Tour is to give these young ladies a platform to prepare them for the LPGA, to be part of professional run golf tournaments, become accustomed to the weekly rigors of living on the road, so that when they do get to the LPGA, they're fully prepared. And the driving factor for me is young women having that opportunity
and giving young girls like Ashley Peterson the dream of becoming a future star of the LPGA.
Ashley's this cute little girl.
That was so much better.
Who came out to our very first year.
Bailey won it and she signed the ball for me. And the next LPGA, we come walking up the hill and we see a poster and I say, "Hey Dad, that's me."
She was so inspired, she became this little golf phenom and won the long drive competition in the state of Utah for her age group.
I really want to be a golfer someday like them. I think it would be really fun to come and win this course.
It's been a fascinating journey with golf in the Greater Zion area. And now we have Black Desert that's being ranked among the top golf courses in the country.
The world-class championship destination is nestled within ancient black lava fields, lush greens, and towering red rock cliffs in Ivins, just outside of St. George.
It's a great piece of property.
Tom Weiskopf is nothing less than a legend. He's a Hall of Famer, and we are very blessed to have had him design Black Desert. He wanted the course to be hard enough, but not gimmicky, and he wanted it to be fair. He told us just a couple of months before he passed that he saved his best for last.
And when you walk through and you look at the different fairways and green locations and so forth, and see how thoughtfully they were placed in these lava beds and how much of the natural beauty of that area was preserved, it's really quite a wonderful thing that they accomplished there.
Find me a better place to photograph or to video than Washington County. The difference between the grass and the red rocks and the black rocks and the canyons and the mountains just make it a photographer's dream.
Covering more than 600 acres, Black Desert Resort is undergoing unparalleled development, seeking to become a golfing, retail, and hospitality mecca. Guests can explore the unique blend of features that give Greater Zion its identity as they step into the exact visions that manifest when they hear the name Utah. A century of relative isolation has been radically transformed into a recreation destination with unrivaled beauty.
Nobody really dreamed that from the original 7, which would become 9 at Red Hills, would then graduate into all of these beautiful courses that we have here.
In a 20-mile radius, there are 14 very unique and amazing golf courses. But in Greater Zion, there's so much more to discover. Across 2,400 square miles, you're greeted by stunning vistas and a palette of colors. Whether you're biking your way through Zion National Park, hiking the slot canyons and lava tubes of Snow Canyon State Park, hitting the dunes on Sand Mountain, enjoying multiple water sports in Sand Hollow State Park, and maybe even taking the plunge. Or just taking it all in, high above.
It is really a spectacular thing to realize that the trails that we hike on and the scenery that we get to enjoy as a part of our everyday is something that people are traveling from all over the world to see and experience. And it's all throughout this beautiful county. It really is an exceptional experience that you just don't want to take for granted ever. And it really is difficult to think of anything greater than what we have here in Greater Zion.
So this is only the beginning of even greater things.
The PGA Tour is considered the pinnacle of golf for the world's best players. And it's what many young golfers dream of, to qualify for the tour.
People here in Sandy have a lot to be proud of. To be feeling it.
The state of Utah has had the honor of hosting the PGA Tour, but that was more than 60 years ago in the Salt Lake City area.
The PGA Tour is coming back to Utah and Black Desert Golf Resort.
The tour comes to Greater Zion in October 2024. In addition, Black Desert will host an LPGA Tour event in May of 2025, making it one of the few select courses to host both tour events.
These events will be shown all over the world and be able to highlight this area in a way that has never been done before. I think what will stand out the most is Greater Zion. It'll pop on national television like nothing else.
We're looking forward to really putting our best foot forward and really making the experience for the visitors something special, something that they'll take away and say, you know, that wasn't just another PGA tournament. That was a tournament that was hosted in St. George, Utah, in Washington County, in Greater Zion. And that's an experience that I want to have again and again, and they'll keep coming back.
And they'll walk away from here saying to others when they go somewhere else, have you golfed in southern Utah? You need to.
It's golf heaven. St. George is the place to come to play golf.
Black Desert, having both events, the PGA Tour and LPGA, I think it's going to be unbelievable. I've played 499 PGA Tour events. I'd like to have that 500th event.
Jay Dunn would need an exemption from the PGA Tour to be able to make that 500th start.
Oh my gosh!
Back in his hometown.
Jay Dunn, could I get you to hold this for me?
The certificate of exemption is provided to the recipient honoring their 500th start on the PGA Tour, hosted at the Black Desert Championship.
I don't think there's a bigger honor that Black Desert could have than to honor Jadon and his commitment to St. George and the game of golf and all that he's brought to it, and to just be able to provide him his 500th tour start is nothing short of an honor.
To be part of the first event for St. George, a PGA Tour event, and me to be part of that is, you know, I mean, that's a dream from a little kid.
The people who travel to Greater Zion will find more than golf, sunshine, and adventure.
They're going to experience the people, because as unique and as wonderful as our landscape is, it pales in comparison to the uniqueness and the hospitality of the people that live here in Washington County. The people are just absolutely salt of the earth, wonderful, kind, welcoming people.
People who have the utmost pride in their community.
The most amazing thing to me about our volunteers is they're asked to volunteer throughout the year. Southern Utah is full of these wonderful events, from Huntsman Games to Ironman, St. George Marathon, and they answer the bell every single time, and they just do so graciously.
And it's no wonder. Their ancestors were the most stalwart volunteers, paving the way from complete desolation by surviving in such a harsh environment.
I'm sure that when they first came to this valley, they thought, oh, glory, what in the world have I got myself into?
Their desire to come to Zion was great, and they did it and stuck it out.
The sacrifice that those people made for us so that we could have this is just incredible.
We're still pioneering, we're still building. There's still plenty of room to do exciting things and to build upon what those first pioneers came here and started for us to expand upon.